Lawrence Kohlberg's moral development theory. Lawrence Kohlberg was an American psychologist known for his theory of moral development. He proposed a stage-based model for the progression of the moral reasoning, suggesting that moral thinking develop in a series of distinct stages as a person matures. This theory builds upon Jean Piaget's work on cognitive development and extend it to include the development of moral reasoning. Kohlberg's theory is centered around how individuals make moral decisions and the reasoning they use to justify their choices. Lawrence Kohlberg's moral development theory outlines how individuals develop moral reasoning. It consists of three levels: the pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional, and 6 stages. People progress through these stages as they mature, facing moral dilemmas and making decisions based on their reasoning about right and wrong.
Pre-conventional morality is the earliest period of moral development. It lasts until around the age of 9. At this age, children's decisions are primarily shaped by the expectations of adults and the consequences of breaking the rules. For example, if an action leads to a punishment, it must be bad. If it leads to a reward, and must be good.
Stage 1. Punishment or obedience orientation. In this stage, behavior is determined by consequences. The individual will obey in order to avoid punishment.
Kohlberg moral development, pre-conventional stage number 2, is what we call the individualism and exchange or the mutual benefit. In this stage, children account for individual points of view based on how they serve individual needs. Moral reasoning is based on the consequence of result of the act, not on whether the act itself is good or bad. The exchange principle enters this level, and we treat with fairness those who do the same with us or those who help us.
Conventional morality. The next period of moral development is marked by the acceptance of social rules regarding what is good and moral. During this time, adolescents and adults internalize the moral standards they have learned from their role models and from society. This period also focuses on the acceptance of authority and conforming to the norms of the group.
Being labeled as a good girl and good boy can stem from various factors, and it's important to consider the context and perspective of the individuals or looking you in this way. Your actions and behavior may align with societal or cultural norms of what is considered good behavior. This could include being polite, responsible, and respectful toward others. Society often has certain expectations and stereotypes associated with gender roles. If you conform to this expectation, you may be more likely to be labeled as a good boy and good girl also, based on traditional gender norms. Example of being a good girl and good boy. First, a student stays after school to clean all the chalkboards for the teacher. And the second one is a child gives away her lunch to a street peasant because she thinks doing so means being nice.
In stage 4, law and order. This stage is focused on moral reasoning, and individuals start to be aware of the importance of obeying the rules and laws of society. At this age, we also begin to understand that social order depends on the rule of law and that laws must be respected to maintain social order.
Next to the conventional level is the post-conventional level. So, post-conventional level is the third level of moral development, and it is characterized by an individual's understanding of universal ethical principles. Post-conventional level is when people decide based on what they think is right, rather than just following the rules of our society. This means that people at this level have their own ethical principles and values and don't just do what society tells them to do. At this level, people think about what is fair, what is just, and what values are important. What is considered morally acceptable in any given situation is determined by what is the response most in keeping with this principle. And they also think about how their choices might affect others and try to make good decisions for everyone and not just for themselves.
In Kohlberg's theory of moral development, stage 5, known as the social contract orientation, typically emerges during adolescence. At this stage, individuals begin to understand that there are various perspectives and values within society. They recognize that rules and laws are social agreements meant to promote the greater good and maintain social order rather than absolute dictates. In this stage, individuals start to consider the importance of individual rights and the democratic process. They understand that while rules are necessary, they can be changed if they are unjust or do not serve the common good. This stage reflects our more nuanced understanding of morality beyond simple obedience to authority, emphasizing the importance of fairness, equality, and the welfare of society as a whole.
When we say universal principle, this is the ideal stage. You make societal changes regardless of the consequences to oneself. Basically, at this stage, individuals develop their own set of ethical principles based on abstract concept of justice, equality, and human rights, which overstep societal norms and laws. People at this stage make decisions based on these self-chosen principles rather than the societal expectation. They always consider the perspective of all involved parties and strive to uphold fairness and justice interactions, even it means going against prevailing the social norms and laws or law.
And to be united in calling for an urgent increase in wages.
Manggagawa, kababaihan, sambayan ng Pilipino.
The Kohlberg theory is cognitive in nature and focuses on the thought process that takes place when an individual determines whether a behavior is right or wrong. The theoretical emphasis is on how one chooses to respond to a moral problem rather than what one chooses to do or decide. Understanding Kohlberg's theory of moral development is crucial when discussing causality. It enables parents to guide their children as they grow morally. Familiarity with these phases can help us better understand how moral judgments are made by both adults and children, and how moral reasoning influences our actions and decisions. Kohlberg's contributions are highly valued in the fields of education and psychology. In addition, it is essential to comprehend the stages of moral development to make sense of one's behavior and decision making. By accurately assigning students to the stages of development, teachers can better comprehend their behavior and devise effective strategies.